What's up, YouTube? So tonight we're gonna get started installing the power steering. I thought I'd do a quick walk around because everything's pretty much done, including the dog. Front and back brakes installed, bled. Tires came in, and wow, like, yeah. So, I mean, I'm running the attack wheel, the Rocket Racing attack wheel, because it seems to be what everybody uses on this truck. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to leave them like that or get them powder coated. I may end up doing powder coating on them. But the tires, they're ridiculous. I mean, you get an idea. There's some pretty serious tread. I don't know that, and I think they're about that wide installed. Yeah, so they're about a foot wide installed. No, it's kind of hard to line it up, but yeah. Got the fuel system done. I'm not sure that I like how the fuel filter's mounted. I don't know. I mean, as soon as this pump's done, I'm probably gonna end up switching it out. I don't know. No, I'll probably end up using the Edelbrock ProFlow 4 on the 427 Windsor that's gonna get built soon. But yeah, another sleeping dog. Everything's good. So one thing I did have to do, the factory length drive shaft would not go back in with these set at 20 inches, but they also say these are supposed to be parallel to the ground when you're set, these lower arms. So once all that's adjusted and at right height, I'm sure it'll probably change a bit, and that drive shaft won't be too long, because what I had to do is extend these out about an inch to make it fit in, and it ended up giving me about an inch and a half of clearance on the drive shaft. So yeah, I went ahead and put the power steering pump on, and I don't know, like, I'm not horribly impressed. It's a Borgson unit I got from Summit. It's supposed to be for small block Fords. And they give me 2 brackets, and it has multiple mounting options, but neither one of them really make the pump straight. So, I don't know. I don't know whether I'm a fan of this or not. And there's just no adjustment on the back side of the pump. Plus, one of my return line's going to come straight out, and I don't know, have to curl down. I guess that won't be too big of a deal. Running AN lines out of the pump to the rack, out of the rack to the cooler, back out of the cooler, and then it'll be into this. So that's how we're gonna set that up. So yeah, we might as well go ahead and get started on that. I need to put the core support on so that I have a place to mount the cooler and make the lines and all that stuff. But for now, yeah, it's got the old 408 back in it until I can get the other engine built. Much like everything else, the block's delayed, so I'll be waiting on that for a while. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the core support on, and then start figuring out how to hook up these lines and what to do about that pump. I don't know if it's supposed to be angled like that. I mean, I don't know that it matters as long as it has plenty of fluid, though I don't know how you can get an accurate fluid reading. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Joys of aftermarket. So yeah, I'll get the core support on, be right back. Ah, look at me go. I followed the directions, sort of. And yeah, look, now it's all nice and level and space. There's room for the coil. It's actually closer to the crank pulley. Probably have a little more clearance to get a hose out of here and down without running into the headers. So yeah, I guess it is the Stop. There's nobody here. Sorry about that. All right. So anyway, that's the update. I'll get the core support on now, and we'll keep going. All right, so now that we got the pump mounted in a respectable location, we've got to get lines from here to here, and this is the return through a cooler mounted somewhere, and back up here. So I'm going to build AN lines for all the power steering. I got a cooler that's got -6 AN lines already welded or set up on it, so we can just use that. It should be fairly bolt-in. The problem is, the place that I wanted it is going to be right up here, which is going to be above partially above the reservoir. So I don't know if that's gonna, I may not be able to, I don't know how that's gonna play out yet. But I bought fittings to adapt this to AN and adapt the pressure side of the pump to AN. Unfortunately, there's no option for an AN fitting there. I don't know if I could use one that would, I may be able to use one that will allow me to put like a tube to dash 6 and then use another elbow for an AN line to come down this way instead of coming back past the header and up to the front. So let's go over here and take a look at the fittings I got, and we'll get started building these lines. All right, so yes, everything's a mess. So the first fitting is direct from Borgson. It is a fitting designed specifically for their pump that goes in the back. Looks like it's got a ferrule on it, and this goes into the pump like that. And that's how you get that pump adapted over. And then these are two separate sizes. One is 9/16, one's 5/8, and these are the rack side fittings for dash 6 lines. So we'll do that. I'll get the line built, and we'll get the fittings installed in the pump and the rack, and at least get the pressure side done first, and then worry about the return line with the cooler. So yeah, let me get the lines. I thought I'd do this real quick for guys that have never made AN lines. So the way I do it is I use a wrap where I'm going to cut it with electrical tape. And use a cutoff wheel, and then before I feed the end onto the line, I'll take the electrical tape off. But I've tried a couple different ways, and it either smashes the line or, you know, at any rate, this is the easiest way for me to do these. One thing I'll say is after you've done this, you have to like thoroughly flush the hose out and make sure that there's no debris left inside the hose, especially oil lines, but really any kind of lines need to be flushed out, blown out with compressed air, something like that, to make sure that they're clean inside before you actually install them. So just thought I'd throw that out there real quick. All right, so there we go. Line's all installed. I'm not real liking this gasket that come on this fitting. I don't know if you can see it. It kind of pushes out on this side, and it's not on that side. It's just a real thin, almost like Teflon seal. I may look for a copper sealing washer, kind of like what they use on brakes, to make a better connection, especially if this leaks. I think it's probably running. So now we're going to have to work on mounting the cooler and running the return line, which I intend on bringing the return line and feed line for the cooler right down the frame rail, and basically one right into there with an AN fitting and out, and then one up here and clamped on. And I've got, like I said, a fake AN clamp. So it looks halfway decent, but it's purely going to be visual. Oh, pro tip on these too, especially if you have little girl hands like me. When you're putting these ends on, any of these little strands of the braid that stick out will stick you and it will hurt. So just, yeah, I tend to wear gloves when doing that. But all right, so I'm going to focus on getting the cooler mounted up, and then kind of going from there with routing lines and all that fun stuff. So I'll be back shortly. All right, well, so I had to kind of call an audible here because I'm out of AN line fittings. So kind of messed around for a minute, established a couple things. So this is an AN to tube adapter. So I used a tube cutter, cut the end off. So it's a little bit bubbled there from the tube cutter. Once I file that smooth, that ferrule will fit on. And then I'll be able to install this and get a dash 6 port for the return line, which will be nice because then I can put a 90 down and connect into the return line with an actual AN90 and keep that further away from the header. Short term, because I don't have any fittings and I won't be able to get fittings in time, I'm gonna go ahead and hook it up direct from the return from the rack to the pump and not run a cooler. This thing's going to go in for an alignment 2 days from now. I won't get the fittings in 2 days, so I'm going to do this, and for no longer than it's going to run, which is literally onto a flatbed and into the alignment shop, or under roll back and into the alignment shop. It'll be fine. Then once I get it back from the alignment shop, I'll actually get the rest of the fittings should be here, and I can install the cooler and do all that. So yeah, for this video, I guess that kind of wraps it up. Well, I guess I can go ahead and put the other line on real quick just to kind of show you how that looks. Okay, so here's my Earl's fake AN fitting that will slip over this and clamp that down, hopefully hiding as much of that as we can. Then this will run right down here and screw on there. Well, so you get the idea. And actually, you know, as I'm doing this now, I probably won't even need to put a 90 on that. I'll probably be able to come straight out of there like that, run out to the cooler and be just fine. That's not gonna be close enough to that header that it'll really matter. I mean, a 90-degree fitting is not gonna save me another 1.5 inches, maybe, if that. So, you know, if that's a problem, we'll do it. But for now, I think we'll just go ahead and run the lines to the cooler as soon as I get more rod ends. So thanks for watching. I guess kind of next is going to be probably the next big thing anyway that I'll do as far as this goes on YouTube is going to be the TKX 5-speed swap. I believe that's coming, they told me 2 weeks, about a week ago. So we should be starting on that fairly soon. I probably will get the truck back together and drive it around a bit. Make sure everything's good before I start tearing it back apart and get the 5-speed in it. And in order to do that, well, I don't know, we'll see how the truck actually runs and drives with the 4-speed top loader before we go back with the start tearing it apart again to put the 5-speed in. I may want to just enjoy the truck for a while there's still some nice weather to enjoy it. And like I said, then the next thing is going to be the 5-speed swap, and then once that's done and squared away, we'll probably put in the new engine, which will come, I'm thinking probably late October, early November for the engine. And then we're going to do some things to the interior to modernize it a bit with a roll cage for actually mounting 5-point harnesses and probably some racing seats. So that's stuff that will be coming up if you guys are interested. And then once all that's done and I've delayed it as long as I possibly can, we'll start doing some body and paint work. I've got to find a new core support because this one, I bought one aftermarket and it was junk. But this one's got some, it's about the only rust on the truck, but it's going to have to be replaced. It's been kind of hacked on a few times. I'm not sure what was, this was previous to me owning it. I'm not sure what the point in that was, but yeah, that's really about the only piece of sheet metal I need to find. So if anybody has a core support for a 67, 72, this was specifically 68 and it may be needed for the 68 grill, but if any of you guys have a core support laying around and you're interested in selling, I will cover parts and shipping to get it here. Just drop me a message in the comments and we'll get together on something. All right, thanks for watching.